Hey, you guys. Welcome to Day Drinking with Alfonso and Vanessa. I'm Alfonso, and this is the superstar personality, my wife, Vanessa. Hey, superstar.
Cheers.
Cheers, baby. We can't be day drinking without the freaking drink.
That's right. Where's your drink?
Oh, I got a flask. You don't know what's in that thing.
No, you have a flask with... Who's that?
Iron Man on there.
Iron Man.
Yeah.
All right, Iron Man, let's go.
Well, our topic today is we are going to talk about how to incorporate health and fitness to your personality. So how can each person, given their personality, given their drawbacks, no matter what happened in their past and all that other stuff, no matter what's your hang-ups, how can you take your health and fitness game to the next level? Looks like something's
ticking. I don't know what that is. I was trying to ignore it, but I can't.
Don't worry, we'll edit that part out.
No, leave it.
Well, we may leave it.
Leave it. I told you have to be authentic. Leave it. Okay.
Well, let's see how it looks.
Okay.
Anyways, so how do you incorporate health and fitness into your lifestyle? How can you be the healthiest version of you? How can you be the fittest version of you? Or some people don't want to be the fittest. They just want to be at least fit enough to enjoy life. How can you be that person that you want to be in given whatever your personality is? So, baby, that's our intro.
I'm trying not to get on a tangent because remember when you were taking a shower the other day and I'm like, we have to do this and this is why. And I went on for like 15 minutes. Remember that?
Yes.
So people ask a lot. They ask me a lot all the time. How do you fit in fitness with your job, with, managing home, marriage? How do you fit it all in? And before I learned my personality type, I thought it was just, it's part of my personality type. You make a list. You fit it in. You schedule it in. And that's fine because it works for me because I'm a 3. And it works for 3s because we live off of lists. Our life is checking off lists. The more we check off, the more powerful we feel. But what if you're not a 3? What if you're a 1? What if you're a 2 and you're too busy helping other people and by the end of the day, there's no time left in the day? I never thought about, or like, what if you're a 9 and you're like, you're kind of like, dun, 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 no, not today. So it's fine if you don't want to be the fittest person, right? Not everybody does. That's not everyone's forte. It's ours, but it's not everybody else's. So what I was saying to you the other day when I was on a tangent is, if you don't feel good, if you don't feel your best, if you're not the best version of yourself, then you're not living your life fully, right? Yeah. So if you don't have energy, if you feel discouraged, if you feel weak, if you feel tired, you're not going to go out and serve your purpose and live your best life. So that's where health and fitness, we're not just referring to even emotional fitness, even inner fitness. It's not just about your physique and how you look. That's the byproduct. And that's what I was telling you. What's most important is being the best version of yourself, which means being the healthiest you so that you have the energy to go out and do all the things that you want to do. But if you don't know yourself and you don't have a relationship with yourself and you don't know your personality, you're going to struggle and you're going to fall into unhealthy habits. And some of those habits aren't even yours. Some of those are built around, old systems of your culture, old systems of, different belief systems that were embedded in you that aren't even yours. So that's why learning yourself, learning your personality is going to help you win at fitness because you can unlearn and undo everything that's not really you. And then start to discover yourself and burn down all the things that weren't truly you and weren't your authentic self so that you can be the most powerful self. So like I said, you in the last podcast, your most powerful self is your authentic self. Your superpower is that you're you. Your
Yes.
DNA is
Yes.
so unique. But if you're living as somebody else, good luck winning at health and fitness, because you're going to be so busy continuing on with that facade of who you think you are that you're not going to have the bandwidth, even the decision fatigue that sets in when you have to think about things like health and fitness. It's like, it's exhausting if you're not walking in your power and you're not who you truly are and understanding. And we'll talk about what that means and how to unravel the self that's not really you and be more authentic and then become empowered to pursue your health and fitness. And the reason you want to pursue that is so that every other area in your life can flourish.
There you go. Your relationships can flourish, no matter if it's with yourself. Well, of course, that's what we're talking about, your relationship with yourself. But no matter if it's in personal relationships, friends, your relationship at your job, so all that stuff can flourish. It can come out of fitness. Just want to add a little caveat in there that since we are in the fitness business, certified personal trainer, and you're a certified health coach, we can speak from the fitness part from a expertise point of view, but our passion is not only to get people fit physically and nutrition and health and all that other stuff, but also to help them with their inner struggles, with their personality, some that may be a hang up, to make it where you can thrive and live your best life. So, my 5 is ready to jump into the personality types, how people can be a healthier version based on their personality type. So let's start with the 1, shall we?
Yeah.
All right. So starting with the 1, it's always, when you have a personality, you have the balance between, this is how this person look when they're healthy, this is how they look when they're unhealthy, and so.
And here's how they look when there's an in between.
Yeah.
Because there's so many phases of each personality from on the spectrum of unhealthy to healthy.
Right.
There's that middle ground.
And a lot of us do live in the middle ground, which is not necessarily a bad thing, but we're always striving to have the healthiest version of ourselves, healthiest mentality, healthiest state, and that gives us our best life. Because overall, what people want to do is they want to feel their best, they want to live their best, and the way to do that is sometimes you have to psych yourself out. That's one. But the best way to do that is to know yourself.
Yeah.
And let your qualities that's best about you flourish and drown out the qualities that's not so good.
Yep. It's about knowing what your strengths are, knowing what your challenges are. And then once you discover your challenges, the whole point of why I even care to study myself is so I can transcend them. Not to the point where it kills the game and I'm beating myself up. That's not it. There's a healthy middle where you're transcending those weaknesses and overcoming them one at a time. The strengths are the strengths. They're going to be there. So the real point of learning yourself is to learn where you're falling short so that you can achieve victory in those areas.
Yep, that's right. Well, let's achieve victory. Starting with the 1, my 5 want to get into this so bad. So starting with the 1 personality, their healthy parts they are a grinder. They like I said, the quality control manager. So that person wants to make sure every box is checked. The dilemma is they do that in one specific arena. And that specific arena is usually at work. So they'll go to work, they'll make sure all these boxes and lists are checked. They will check on other people's work that don't have anything to do with them. And on top of that, they'll come in early and they'll grind all the way to the night. You know what that leaves? That leaves some type of imbalance.
That leaves nothing.
Leaves nothing left.
Yeah.
So it leaves an imbalance on their relationships. It leaves an imbalance a lot of times on their fitness because a lot of ones are not into fitness. Some are, and some already are developing that balance. So some are the average to healthier ones. So if you're average to healthy and you got a system going, then that's what we're looking for. As we talk about this, but the people who don't have a system going, this is some of the ways that you can learn how to kill the game and get a system going. So one with the ones is to find some type of balance, because it's fine to your job that you come in early and that you leave as late as possible, but that's not fine for the rest of the relationships in your life, and that's not fine for your health and fitness, your personal health and fitness.
And you're coming to work early and you're grinding, like you said. Okay, great, cool. That season you're grinding. Okay. So then what happens when you're about 60, 65, whatever age you decide to retire? You grinded so hard on the job, you didn't take care of yourself, your health. What's left to enjoy? So when you start doing the things you want to do because your time is not dominated by a work week schedule, how fun would that be if you're unhealthy and you have chronic disease and you don't feel good? And what's the point? What is the point? So what's the long-term goal while you're grinding it out? And since ones like to follow the rules, if I were a one, which I have very little one, we already established I have a little bit.
Yeah, you do.
The little
traditional one.
Tiny bit. But if I were a one and I was giving a one advice on health and fitness, since ones thrive off of rules the way a three thrives off of a list. So find where your momentum comes from. So if your momentum comes from following rules and doing things the right way, okay, fine. Go to the doctor, get a physical done, figure out what your health markers are. And then from there, make that, follow the rules of what it takes. Like, what is the, medical professional advice for you to become healthy? Do you have to build exercise into that? Well, you thrive off of the rules. The doctor's in a place of authority over your health. If you trust your doctor, you have to find a good doctor that you trust. So then follow those rules, create your guidelines for health. So that way, after work, on the weekends, when you retire, you're the best version of you, where you have something left you can enjoy, you have balance.
Part of balance for the ones is to have a work-play balance. Mm-hmm. Since their inner critic goes off and say, this needs to be done, these people at work are not doing this part, if I don't do it, then who else would do it? Since the inner critic is going off like that, that usually drives them to not have balance in their play life. So one of the things that ones need to do is one or two things. One, find an activity, a hobby where they could play. And it would be good if that hobby was some type of exercise, like a dance class, a spin class, or something like that. Two is you get with a friend or a spouse or significant other that let them know this is an area that you struggle at, and that's the work-play balance, that you'll work all the time, but play this podcast for them so I can let your friend or your significant other know that you as a one will not prioritize play in your life. And since you will not prioritize play, your significant other has to know that and has to kind of slip it in and help you enjoy the play of life, help you with that work-life balance. And
if your significant other understands you. So you have to understand you. Your significant other has to understand you. So now if there's that knowledge and awareness of self, then you can implement those things. So that's why it keeps on coming back to that awareness of understanding your hardwiring. And if you are a one, well, for all the ones, and you're so worried about, well, if I don't do this, then who will? It's not going to be done right. That to me sounds like an attachment. So whenever you have attachments to things, then that's an unhealthy part of you, because the truth is, and I said it this morning to you, I forgot what we were talking about, but I said control is an illusion. So if it's an illusion that, you think you're in control, I'm going to take care of this because no one else will. Are you going to plug every single hole in the ship? Are you going to, okay, I've got this one covered, you're covering it with your feet, your head, whatever. What happens when the next hole comes? That's life. That's just the ebb and flow of life. So truth be told, if you're attached to that, I would work on transcending that and finding balance in, I can't control everything. I've done my best for the day in terms of work, and now I'm going to do my best for the day in the present moment in my health and my fitness, whether that means having a good healthy meal at your break time, whether that means going to, like you said, a class after work, have somebody, a friend, or, if you're into oxytocin and you do group fitness and you enjoy the social aspect, the health aspect, now you're winning, right? But if you don't know that you're a one, and so you don't know that you have this attachment to making sure everything's done right, you can't transcend it. So you stay in that unhealthy state. And that's the problem.
A one standard, all those holes that you said to plug and all that other stuff, a one standard is higher than God's standard.
Ooh.
And since their standard is higher than God's standard, they will have an unrealistic goal set for whatever that arena in life. A one may be at church and say, I have to do this, this, and that. Or one may be at their job and say, well, I have to do all of this. And make sure these other people do their job too. And so a little short story how the one standard is higher than God's standard. And it's the prodigal son older brother. The prodigal son, once the prodigal son came back to the father wanted to give him shoes on his feet, a ring on his finger, a robe, and kill the fattened calf. The older brother, which was the one, that's the biblical story of the one in the Bible. The older brother said, this son of yours comes back and you give him all this stuff.
Spend all the money, his inheritance.
He spent all his money on wild living, and he comes back and you want to kill the fattened calf? And he said, well, how come you've never killed the fattened calf for me? And the father said, son, all of this is yours. This is all yours. And the implication from that is you could have killed the fattened calf whenever you wanted to. So two things we learned from that story. One, since he could have killed the fattened calf whenever he wanted to, but he just didn't decide to, I want to empower you. You do have the power, the control. You want control? You have the control over your happiness, this part of your health where you can kill the fattened calf. You can have this party. You can have this entertainment. You can have this fun that when you seen somebody else come back, they come back as a big old celebration. You could have had that all the time.
Well, it's the rules, right? It's the rules. And rules are BS combined with rules. And those are rules.
BS rules.
Rules. And there are so many rules in this world. And we follow them. Some of them are archetypal. Some of them are just cultural, which could be archetypal. But there's so many rules. And the older brother, he was following rules, like you said, because he could have killed the fattened calf whenever he wanted. He could have had whatever he wanted, but he was trying to stay so aligned to how it should be, to all the shoulds. So he was attached to that. And when he sees his younger brother who spent all the money and went wild, and he's being rewarded, it disrupted his belief system. But what he needs to do is realize that belief system, start to peel that back and figure out how much truth there really is there. Or is that just passed down generationally or culturally or from traditionally, wherever that was passed down from. That's a rule. And so once you start to do that, the word you use that I'm going to use, you're empowered.
Yes.
Because you no longer feel that bitterness, that attachment to it should be like this. We deal with people all the time at work, that feel it should be this way. And if you're not doing it that way, and I keep doing this because that's that narrow thinking. If it's not like this, then it's broken. But there is many ways to skin a something. What is it?
A cat. But
I don't want to skin a cat. Okay, well, that's not the right analogy for an empath. But I'm just saying.
Many ways to play the game.
Yeah, there's so many different ways. So, for one, my encouragement would be, and I think I would encourage all 9, including myself, and I do this daily, and you know I do, is to really take a look at those areas of challenge and then start to burn down all of those things that aren't yours. That's a great place to start. Burn down the rules, right? So that you can free yourself to be your authentic self and then learn what your strengths are and then optimize them. So if you're a 1, you're really good at following rules because that's your hardwiring, not because someone told you had to, but that's how you're wired. I completely respect that. Then create your rules for health and fitness so that, you have a good foundation for the present moment and for the future.
Yes. And like you said, burn down the bruise. Part of that to help a one burn down bruise is to lower their standard.
Yeah.
To tell you what, ones, your standard is up here. I'm sorry to say, but this sounds funny as a Christian. God's standard is lower than yours. And the reason why I say that God's standard is lower, look at that story of the prodigal son. The prodigal son wanted you don't kill the fattened calf. You let him come back and he just get assimilated back into the system and he has to follow the rules. We don't celebrate. God is into celebrations. God is into, this is a word that's hard to come off of one's tongue. Compassion.
Yeah. Oh my
God
gosh, that's the truth.
Compassion.
Right. I think of all the ones and I'm like.
And that's one of the things that they suffer from.
Yeah.
The main reason why is because it's hard for them to have compassion on themselves.
Right.
So if you have an inner critic running amok in your head that's saying, well, you didn't do this, you didn't do that, they're harder on themselves than anybody else. If that inner critic is going off on you, introduce that inner critic to the God of compassion. Now, tell that inner critic, I'm going to follow God's rules instead of your rules. And that will help relax some of that inner critic. And once you notice, as you're having more self-awareness, that this inner critic is not exactly the one who made the rules to the world, then you can say, okay, I don't have to be at this such a high standard. Now I can have time to do these other endeavors in life. Health, fitness, enjoyment of life. And by doing that, you can form some type of balance. The balance, how that looks is, you don't have to, okay, you want to get to work early? Feel free to leave early. At least in the slow season, you don't have to be, I have a person, no matter if it's a person at my job, no matter if it's the busy season or the slow season, they're early, stay there late.
But that's the expectation they have for other people too.
Yeah.
Right? And so I think the reason they struggle with compassion is because what I've noticed from the ones I know is they live in judgment, an unhealthy one. And that, remember, the spectrum of unhealthy isn't just at this end. It can veer towards the middle too. And so when you walk in judgment, you have a really hard time bestowing compassion on other people. Yeah. And I think that's one of the biggest challenges. So if you're going to be really hard on yourself and you want to follow all the rules, then you expect that for other people as well. If you're not giving yourself compassion, if you know you're a 1 and you're really hard on yourself, and we're talking about inner critics, I have a huge one, so I get it. What I do is I pause and I say, oh, that's Hillary, my inner critic. Let me pause for a second. Now I can recognize what it is. Remember the other day I told you, give it a name, give it a name, mm-hmm. give it a name. When you name something, you can now identify what it is and you can defeat it. So you have to understand yourself to that level to know I'm a 1. I'm going really hard on myself. I'm going really hard on Joe Schmo. And so let me pause here. I'm being too harsh. That's just too much judgment. So, and if we stay on everyone this long, we're going to be a 3-hour podcast. So we really need to move on.
All right, let's get to 2s. So 2s, the job description we gave them is the nurse. So
and they're called the helper.
They're called the helper. I like calling them the nurse.
Yeah, but I want to make sure people understand what each one is because, yeah.
Yes. So the helper loves to
help.
Yes. Loves to help, which is a very sweet personality. And so this personality loves to help, very sweet, heart-centered, has true compassion on people.
Until, I don't want to forget this, I will forget, until they're bitter.
Yeah.
Because I've been done helping you all this time, and I didn't take care of myself.
Yeah.
I took care of you because you're hardwired that way. I didn't practice self-care. Now I'm mad. Now I'm bitter. So that sweet, helpful person is now bitter. And most people don't understand, where is that coming from? It's coming from the unhealthy two not practicing self-care.
Yes. And that's why what we want to influence in this specific podcast, especially for twos, is self-care. Because twos, what they'll do is they'll take all of their time, investment, and put in the number one, number two relationships in their lives. And they will sacrifice their self in order to make sure everybody has what they need. They will make sure somebody else have their gym membership. Yep. Whoever that significant other is, they'll make sure they have the healthy meals while they're in the back eating chips, and they're cooking a fat, filet mignon for somebody else, but then they're in the back eating chips and they say, well, I'm just snacking. They will make sure other people are healthy, other people are taken care of, but they do it at the expense of themselves. And so I would encourage the twos to have a little balance by, if you get up early in the day, see, twos, if you take advantage of that early time, and you get your momentum going early before all these people start demanding on your needs, and your heart goes out to these people, if you can just...
And your heart's going to go out no matter what.
Yeah.
You can't help it. So we're not knocking twos.
Yeah, no.
That is how, you just like the ones, they have to follow rules because that's how they're wired, and that's what they thrive off of. Twos thrive off of helping people.
Yes.
Thrive. So it's okay that you're like that. Yeah. It's actually admirable. I'm not a two. It's admirable. But at what price?
That is true. And not at the price of yourself, because then it has like you said, a two would get bitter. So it has a circuitous type of backlash where the two would help, and they would expect from all this help that they have given that there's some type of return on investment.
Right.
And then if the person was like, well, I thought you were just doing that out of altruism, out of the kindness of your heart. The two is like, well, I thought that this relationship was going to be better because I did all this help. The key to that is let the relationship with yourself be better.
Yeah.
So you don't depend on the relationship with these significant others.
Right.
And if you better your relationship with yourself by starting your day early, whether it's listening to different podcasts where you're reflecting on yourself, whether it's reading your word, whether it's getting yourself started in the gym. Of course, get yourself some healthy snacks, healthy food, have a game plan for your food. By having this game plan going early in the day, this is for all of the other personalities, but especially for the two, because a two will instantly put somebody else first. And if a two were to get their game plan going early on these health and fitness tips, then a two can live a healthier life and be a healthier two. And
if I were to, I would meditate. I'm just saying, I would meditate, and this is why. If you're a two, you are others focused.
Yeah.
Right? So meditation, taking that time early in the morning and just sitting in silence and being the observer of your thoughts, and allow the thoughts of, I got to help this person and this person, go here and do this and all these things. Observe it, because that'll give you time to, like I said, look at the parts of you, the shadow sides of you, the part of you that's doing it because you want the accolades, the part of you that's doing it because, you believe there's a return on investment. It'll help you to take a pause and see, why am I doing all of these things? Is it selfless or is it selfish? Right? And if you take the time to pause and step outside of all the busyness of it all, that's how you can reflect.
Yes.
Right? So that would be part of, an early morning routine. I don't meditate. I don't know if I even could meditate. Maybe I could add it to my list and then check off my list, but I don't. But actually, I take that back. I do. Meditation for me is my fitness. For me to be in the gym and to feel like each body part and that mind-body connection and getting in that zone and feeling all of the endorphins and just being so grateful for the endorphins because I know how to create that and, happiness, that synergy, that chemistry in my body, that's meditation. So if I were a 2 and my main focus was helping other people and that's how I thrive, great. Now take a step back and look at all the reasons why you do it. I think that'll empower you even more because now you're helping people for the right reason. And that might dilute the bitterness that comes if you don't get an ROI from the people that you're helping. You've had your quiet time. And if it's not quiet time, what is it that you like? Pause and figure out what fills your cup. And once you realize what fills your cup, do it. Like I told you the other day for 2s, put your oxygen mask on first. Once you put on your oxygen mask, now you can serve and help everybody else. But you don't put on that oxygen mask. Everyone else around you is thriving and doing great, and you're drowning. At the end of the day, you died, they survived, and I equate that death to bitterness. You are sitting in bitterness, and there's a ton of negative health consequences to being bitter. And one of them is cortisol. So
yes, yep, cortisol, all that stuff. So 2s, we can jump to the 3s, but before we do that, I just want to say 2s, we encourage you, since you are so like blessed with altruism to reach out to people. We encourage you to first take that and apply it to yourself.
Yes, then you're winning.
That
then you're
same
winning.
love and sacrifice.
Yeah.
Apply it to yourself and say, hey, I'm going to that love that I have for this other person. I'm going to marinate in some of that love. Mm-hmm. Yep. All right. So let's jump to 3s. We're going pretty fast through this now.
That's good because it ain't going to be 3 hours. That's what we do.
So as we see that the 1s struggle with the bruise, and that gets in the way of their health and fitness. The 2s struggle with being others focused, and so that gets in the way of their health and fitness. The 3s don't have those challenges.
No struggles. Oh my gosh, let's pass them.
So the 3s
go
ahead.
3s.
So the 3s are the performers. That's the enneagram name for them is the performers.
The achiever.
So they're the performers, the achievers, and I call them the motivational speakers. So them being the motivational speakers, one of the things that they don't lack, too many 3s don't lack doing health, fitness, achieving goals, and all this other stuff. So that's not the balance that we need to give them as part of encouragement. 3s can be on here encouraging everybody else about health and fitness. Yeah. And so that's your personality as a 3. And so 3s don't struggle that much in that department. They will make sure they put it on their list. Yeah. And that's probably rule number 1 to get crossed off on their list. Okay. Now, as a healthy 3, average to healthy, you'll start putting it on your list. And then you'll start crossing it off. As far as fitness, as far as health, eating right, can you speak to a little bit of the eating right in the relationship part of the 3s? Because that's the areas where they may need more encouragement.
And let's talk about an unhealthy 3 because it'll make it easier. So an unhealthy 3 is going to care about appearance, hardcore more than anything else. The whole package, right? Your physique, and food is 70 to 80% of your physique, right? Because I can stop training and eat right and still maintain a lean body. And so since I, as a health coach, know that 70 to 80% is food, it's easy to keep the food in check. The hard part about keeping the food in check is because I have a small component of 7 in me, right? And 7s will get to that, but the 7 loves food. The 7 is a foodie. The 7 is so excited over food. And that's when you see my 7. Because nothing to me is, I think this is the actual truth. Nothing's more exciting to me than eating something yummy, right? Like that, Yeah. I dance as I make it. I dance as I eat it. And then when I'm done eating it, I'm like, when am I going to eat again? And what's it going to be? So what helps me with food as a 3 is, and it's kind of like a checklist, is I track my food. And that gives me the freedom to enjoy it without guilt. That gives me the freedom to tell Hillary, my inner critic, shut up, this falls along the lines of my macros. So I will track everything that I eat, and I have a goal. Of course, I'm a 3, I have a goal. So every day I will track what I'm eating, and then at the end of it, okay, end of the day, I'm out of macros, which is proteins, carbs, and fat. For people who don't know what that means, it's kind of like tracking your calories. Once I'm out, okay, good. I got goals. I'm not messing those up. And you know that. Like, my eating window's over. My macros are done. And that's a huge component of my health and fitness goals. And so since I know that, I'll go in the room, I'll go start folding clothes. If y'all eating tacos and the kids are eating pizza, I'm so hardcore about hitting my goals. I know what my future self looks like, and I get excited and celebrate my future self now. And you know that. I get super excited and I manifest what I want by allowing that energy to just flow even before it's happened, right? So I get excited. My body, my cells are responding to that. I'm working out. I'm eating right. So fitness isn't much of a challenge for me just because 3s are very focused on goals.
Yes.
When it does become a challenge is when the unhealthy side, so I'll slip into an unhealthy 9. And for whatever reason, 3s, when they get stuck, that's the best way I can put it, we fall into an unhealthy 9. And that is doing everything we can while we're aware of doing it, self-sabotaging our goals. I cannot explain to you why we do it, but we just go into this downward spiral of, you know what? I'm never going to have the body I want. You know what? I'm not good enough. It doesn't matter. This is all a facade. I can't do it. And then you've seen it where it's just like, eat this, eat this, eat that, eat this, eat that. And the thing about a 3 is it doesn't last. And so the next day you're like, darn it. And so you got to get right back on track. But when you slip into that unhealthy 9, that's when you spiral downward. So the secret to success is knowing, oh, I feel the tendencies coming on. So like this morning, it's like, come on, get up, let's go to the gym, let's go. And you can take your time, drink your tea. This is actually your real regimen. Drink your tea. Oh, let me use the restroom. And that's you're chilling. Like, it could be 45 minutes before you even get to the gym. And we live half a mile from the gym. Me, I don't want to risk slipping into my unhealthy 9. So what I do is I don't allow my brain enough time to produce the thoughts to talk me out of it. It will happen. I know it will, because my inner critic is battling my higher self. I know that's happening. So this morning I got up, got ready, and you know this, I can get up and out the door in about 5 minutes. And that's because I know myself so well that I know if it's, my inner critic will say, just stay in bed. It's cold. You know, you're too old to be fit now anyway, just to succumb to your destiny, which is your metabolism's going to slow down. And I have no space for that, right? So I was like, I'm sorry, we're supposed to work out together, but I'm out. I will see you there. And so by the time you got there, I think I only had like 20 minutes left in my workout. But it wasn't because I didn't want to work out with you. It was because I know myself so well, because my number one hobby is evolving. And so I know myself so well that on Sundays, for whatever reason, I get lazy and I get tired. And I know if I don't start my day off right, I'm going to spiral into my negative 9. Why? I don't know. But if I do the right thing in the morning and check off the list, then I will have a phenomenal day. So it's all about knowing yourself. Hear that voice in your head. Hear the voice of the inner critic. Recognize the thought and then figure out what you need to do to break that. Like, burn it down, like picture fire, burn it down, do what you need to do, and stay winning. Now, what if I didn't know I was a 3? What if I didn't know that unhealthy 9 is something that creeps in? What if I didn't know I had an inner critic? What if I didn't know all of these things? How would I succeed? I wouldn't.
Yes. So the key thing, I would say, especially for a 3 personality, is to know yourself. So that's the whole point of getting healthy. How you get healthy, step number 1, self-awareness. Know yourself, know the patterns that you take and what triggers you and all that other stuff. So especially for the 3, because the 3, out of many different personalities, or out of all the personalities, they're one of the key personalities is prone to deception.
Yes.
And not deceiving everybody else.
Deceiving yourself.
Deceiving yourself.
Right.
And so that's why what healthy looks like for a 3, like you said, making making self-awareness, self-discovery, self-evolving your hobby.
Yep.
If you can do that, if you can put that on your list, 3s usually just want to go through the list of what either makes them more popular, what gets them more likes, what they can, get on, the social media about. But if they add that to their list, which is self-discovery, then they'll be happy with oneself and know their selves better and be able to not need to be so religious about their lists. 3 still gonna get their list done regardless, no matter what I say.
You know it. You know I am.
What I'm saying is, with a healthy 3, because actually getting their list done is a strength. That's not a weakness. That's
but I
not
have to
healthy.
say this about lists, because yesterday I was like, I'll make this my rest day. So a rest day for a 3 is kind of torture, because we don't want to rest. It doesn't feel good. So why would I rest if it doesn't feel good? If doing things on my list feels better, then that's winning for me. It's not winning for you, because you're an introvert.
Yeah.
But for me, that's winning. So knowing yourself, my best friend used to say, you make me dizzy because you never sit down. And she used to say, will you watch this movie with me? I'm like, heck yeah, I'll watch a movie with you. Kid you not. And we're going to have her on this podcast and she will attest to it. I would sweep and mop during the movie, and it would drive her nuts. And she would say, you said you were going to watch the movie. I said, I've been watching this whole time.
While I'm doing
I'm productive. And so it's the life of a 3. So the 1s have the rules. The 2s have to help people. The 3 has to have that list going.
So having that list going, it's not a negative. It's not a net negative. It's a net positive. And it's when we're talking about being healthy, no matter if it's the 1s, the 2s, the 3s, it is knowing your personality and knowing that that's going to be a high demand in your consciousness, that this list, knowing that since that's so much of a high demand, how do you balance the other things?
Right.
That balance for 3s, knowing yourself.
Yeah.
How do you balance, because self-discovery can come in many ways. You as a 3, you do it through podcasts and you listen to that and you grow through that. You can do it many different ways. So one, self-discovery. Another thing that's healthy for a 3 is relationships. Getting in those relationships where you may get distant from because you prioritize your list.
Right.
And so list versus relationship will easily, the list will beat out the relationship, but you as growing in a healthy 3, you mentioned last time on the podcast, like when Sophia came over, you was like, I got this list. Then Sophia came over, you was like, can I get this list done? Plus do all this, plus be with her. And so I see you practicing that part of the healthy 3, where you do embrace your relationships at the same time that you're doing your list. You try to do it at the same time, like you just said with that story. Sophia wants you to watch the movie, but you want to do your list at the same time. So however you do it, threes, this is the challenge, and that is relationships are going to be a challenge because you're going to be want to do your thing at the same time you invest inside of a relationship. And so balance for a three, when we're talking about healthy, it's not on the fitness side. It's more on the relationship side and on the self-discovery side. And by knowing that these are the areas of opportunity, that's how you can.
And inner fitness, that's going to be the struggle, the inner fitness, because, and to give a super short example before we move on, the other day we had a Halloween party, and being in HR, you know, we have to put the blood, sweat, and tears in. It was almost 500 people that we were feeding. And so that meant I had to get up at my regular time, which is to go to the gym, but I couldn't go to the gym. I couldn't go to the gym because I had to do the whole costume thing. I had to be at work early so I can get some work done before the 3 hours of prep to feed 500 people, the decorations and everything. And I knew in advance that my inner critic was going to have a field day on me. So this is what you do when you know yourself. You tell yourself the night before, I'm not going to get to work out tomorrow. It's not feasible. There's no way, because by the time I get to bed, I would have, if I got up, you know, an hour and a half early, that puts me in the 3 o'clock hour. I'm not doing it. So I got up and I had to be very conscious of the fact that it's one day, you miss one workout. And I knew I wasn't going to work out after because I was on my feet the entire day running around serving. So it was physically demanding. And so what I did was I kept on offering myself self-love. I kept on loving on myself. You're serving. Look at the joy of these people. Look how and that's when my 4 kicked in. Everyone's connecting, they're bonding, they're building synergy. And that's what fed my soul that day. So no, I didn't get my meditation in, which is lifting and cardio, but I got something else. And because I work on evolving, my soul was fed in a different way. And I had to be mature enough to say, that was equally, if not more important than missing one workout. So it's always, as a 3, it's giving yourself grace continuously. Because like I say on social media, when I post, your cells are listening to everything you say and everything you think. So if you have these goals as a 3 and you want to be in the best shape of your life, which I say every year, I want this year to be the best shape, then you better be talking appropriately to your cells that do the work every single day. So the more evolved I become, the more I learn to love myself. I try to step outside of myself and look at me loving my human, loving my soul, and speaking love and speaking light to myself. So.
Okay. All right. Well, don't be trying to spend all too much time.
So then
on
what I
do? Shoot, the 3s, you giving the 3s a little bit too much love.
Well, tomorrow when I post on social, I'll give y'all a little bit more nuggets of wisdom on what to do.
All right. So 4s. Let's go over to the 4s.
Again, me.
Yes, the 4 personality is your secondary. The 4 is known as the individual.
The individualist.
That is
correct. Because we all individuals.
The individualist. And they say that because the 4s like to be separate from other people. They like to have this uniqueness about themselves that's separate from other people. And so when we gave them a job, and we said, hey, these are the type of 4s that you can recognize a 4. We got the hairstylist, tattoo artist. You can see how different they are from each other. And the yoga instructor. So these are your 4s, the people that's fascinated by nature, that can see the beauty that's in life and all that other stuff. So what does it look like to be a healthy 4, and what can 4s work on to better their health and fitness goals?
So if I were a 4, I am a 4. So being a 4, so that's my secondary. It's not my primary. Yeah. So I use my superpowers as a 3.
Yep.
More so for health and fitness. But as you know, because we got in plenty of fights over this in the past, before I grew up, the 4s love nature, right? So if you love nature, and you love being outside and connecting and the synergy with all of life, then make your health and fitness goals align with what you love. So if you're going to laugh, so I'm not going to look at you. So if a tree feeds your soul, and as I'm saying that, I'm looking straight ahead, right? And I'm looking at the dragonfly, which represents seeing beyond the illusion. I'm looking at the lotus flower open up, which represents pushing past struggle. And that's my 4. I have a tapestry on the wall. They can't see it, but it's a lotus flower with the stars coming out and the dragonflies. And it's so magical to me. But what it represents, it gives me momentum because it represents magic and life and, spirituality in a way where you can see how amazing is God that he created all this beauty. And, a 5 may not resonate with that because they're in their head. An 8 might not resonate with that, but it feeds my soul. A tree is alive. How else would it grow? Right? Oxygen. Look at all the things look at our whole ecosystem, right? So if I was a primary 4, I think what I would do, and this is what we used to argue over, go for a hike. So here you are hiking and you're in the midst of nature and it just keeps on feeding you. At the same time, you're taking care of your heart health, cardio, whatever you're doing, if you're doing push-ups along the way on the trail, like I used to do, whatever you're doing in a state of joy. And that's the thing about fitness. Whatever number you are, you want to find a way to do it where it's feeding your soul. What's the best exercise there is out there? The one that you will do.
That's right.
The one that makes you happy. The one that makes you feel alive. Now I keep looking at my lotus flower. But that's knowing if you're a primary 4 and you're not wanting to be, because we're usually empaths. I'm an empath. And if you get stressed in a gym, and believe it or not, I actually do. That's why I like going at 5 o'clock in the morning. After work, I get anxiety because I don't want a bunch of people talking to me. I get this nervous energy and then my workouts aren't as productive. So as a 4, one of the things you can do is figure out how to go outside and focus on, your health and fitness while you're absorbing the sunlight and enjoying nature, right? 4s are deep feeling. We feel so deep. And that's where the momentum comes from. The other day, somebody texted me and said, I ate this and I did this and I did this. So that doesn't really make sense. It doesn't align with and this was the night before. So it doesn't align with the amount of energy I have this morning. And so she was looking for the science because she's in her head. She's an 8. And so she's in her head. So she was looking for the science to explain. And I literally had to tell her, sometimes it's not science. You have to figure out where your momentum comes from, right? So as a 4, I'm very sensitive to energy. So when something's going on in my life or I'm feeling sad or something's dark, if I don't feel it and allow myself to feel it and process it out, if I just push it down and hold it, I don't want to work out. I'm tired. I feel heavy. I just want to go in my cave and leave me alone, right? So as a 4, you've really got to know what blocks your energy. What is it that feeds your soul and what is it that blocks that? And then once you know that, then you can design your health and fitness around your hardwiring.
All right. Well, enough for 4s. Let's get the 5s. Can't wait. Just kidding. Nah. So, 4s. I want to put my 2 cents in there too, Miss 4. 3, 4 in the house.
Look at the dragonfly and then.
I seen it. Nah.
See beyond the illusion.
So, and I do admire that about you, where you can be able to feel things about nature and stuff you see and how you like water and drawn to it and all that other stuff. So that is admirable about 4s, where they can be really deep feeling. The rest of us, especially personalities like mine that don't have much feelings, we can learn a lot from 4s in order to get in touch with our feelings. Couple of things that I want to say about 4s in order to encourage them to get on the healthy side, whether it's health and fitness or just mental health and getting their game to be the best person that they want to be in life. And that is, 1, like you said, 4s are creative. So working out creative. Hikes, yes, that's creative. Yoga, you want to be the person that's doing the most creative pose or something, that's creativity too. Fours like to continue to keep things fresh, so keep it fresh. Part of keeping it fresh, if you're in a group, if you're doing some type of group exercise, that keeps it fresh. Also, since fours are mainly a introvert personality, that will help them get out of their shell if they're with groups. If you can get in group yoga, group dance, group something, group spin, whatever it is.
Yoga with goats. Have you seen that? It's a thing.
Yoga. That is, all fours are there.
And the reason I say that is because, I love
goats.
All living creatures, all of them. I love all of them. And so just the happiness of the goat, because I can feel the energy of anything living. So the happiness, and then it's going to get that momentum going in you, right? And it's going to give you that environment where you're deeply feeling, because that's what we thrive off of, is feelings. Mm-hmm. So you're deeply feeling, you feel so much joy. These goats are walking around, they're happy, you're happy. It's a win-win situation. That's very creative, actually.
Yeah, it is creative. Good suggestion. A 5 like myself would be like, the goat is chewing in my face.
I would love to do yoga with a goat.
Yeah, so add the creativity aspect to it. That's a game changer. Get with people, because that gets you out of your introvert personality. So for all introvert personalities, whether it's 4s, 5s, sometimes 6s, and 9s, I want to encourage, get out there with people when it comes to whether you're being healthy. Now, if you're with people all day, then of course your meditation is going to be like, hey, well, I need to recharge, be by myself. But if you're not with people all day, then part of your health and fitness, your purpose, God's purposes on your life may have to do with little people to make you a healthier version of yourself. Mm-hmm. All right, are we ready to get to 5s or what?
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Huh?
Yeah.
Oh, did you say 5? No. So 5s, we're finally here.
5s aren't excited, though.
5s are excited about learning. This is excitement for them. We're learning. So that's our workout. If we can learn, if we can listen to something that's educational as we work out, a book, an audio book or something like that, that is fun. Now, on 5s, let me give them the introduction like everybody else got the introduction. 5s, they are the observer, the investigator. Those are the people that can a lot of times be wallflowers, sitting there looking at what's going on, what everybody else is doing, and going a million miles per hour in their minds. And so how does it look to be a healthy 5 when it comes to health, fitness, and being a healthier version, a more evolved version of your personality type? How does it look? I wonder. So I think one part of health and fitness, like I said, the learning aspect, if you can do it learning, tell yourself, 5s get motivated, believe it or not, by learning, like, oh, I can read this book or I can listen to this podcast. Tell yourself that when you go to the gym on that treadmill, you can listen to the book, you can read listen to the podcast, all that other stuff. Tell yourself that. That's part of your motivation. If you're used to being alone the whole time and that's like your job or what have you, I would encourage all introvert personalities to find some type of healthy relationship where you're getting out there with people. So like you said, hiking, 5s will hike and they'll be either the first person that's going or they'll be somebody that's straggling behind, just kind of like doing their own thing, not taking pictures of themselves. That's the 3s taking all the pictures. The 5s are the people who's taking picture of nature with them not in the picture. That's why I'm glad that I had you as a 3 in my life, where we're going to take a picture together versus just taking a picture of nature. So 5s, get around some people that do have feelings that can put you in the picture. The people in your life, so 5s feel that, hey, I can do life solo and I can do it well solo. That is part of your superpower, but that's not part of you being evolved.
Right.
If you want to evolve from your personality, you have to learn how to do life with people, and that's going to bring out the best you, because fives, you have a whole lot of gems inside of you. If you want to get that out, guess what? You're going to need a sounding board. You're going to need some people in your life where either they're going through something, you can go ahead and drop a few nuggets on them. Just kidding. Anyways, so yeah, fives, they do have a lot of, they study and all that other stuff. But when it comes to being more healthy, one of the things I see fives doing is to not isolate yourself so much. And so
you give fitness advice to about 5 people per workout session. Every time I see you, you're talking to somebody, which it trips me out because you like to be in a zone.
Yes,
Your
I do.
8 likes to be in the zone. But then when I see, people will see you doing things because you do a lot of non-conventional training. People will ask you, what is that? Why are you doing that? What should I do? That's what I hear a lot. People ask you, what should I do? Or I have this injury. What should I do? Because they want to keep on building. So you like to teach even in the gym. I think it bothers your 8 if it's too much.
Yeah, it does.
But initially you enjoy that people come up to you and ask you how to do, how to train because you're teaching.
Yes. And so fives, you are going to do something maybe unconventional. You are going to study and research and find a workout that probably nobody else is doing. If you are interrupted, if people see you doing that, if people do have questions, since your personality type, the fives is the professor. If you're in a place where you are doing something and you're feeling like you're on an expert level, feel free to share that with people. And so that's that's the balance where fives, it's good to not do an all the way solo workout, to work out with people. Like, just for example, when I had this time off for my birthday, I called up a person and I said, hey, do you want to do arm day together? And we did arm day together. And so that's part of evolving your 5 to be a healthy 5. You need people in your life that can speak into your life and that you can mutually sharpen them in their life.
Because you might not know everything.
Well, we can be... No, I'm joking. So, and that's one of the struggles of the 5 is the know-it-all. So a 5 will listen to this and be like, yeah, I already got my routine down. I don't need anything else. Or I don't need no extra people. And so that's one of the things that I had to learn to evolve as a 5. It's not pretend that you know it all. It's a 5 think that they have something going so well for themselves that they don't want to change it. 5s are routinists.
Oh my gosh, I know.
Yes, they love routines.
Yeah.
Part of being a healthy 5 is to, one, bring other people in your life and to add them either as a part of your routine, that you reach out routinely to them, or to mix up your routine a little bit. No matter if that's on health and fitness side. When it comes to just relationships, that's where 5s need help and to be on a more healthy side too. Because being an introvert personality, they tend to distance themselves from people, relationships, and all that other stuff. So with 5s, my encouragement to 5s on that is because 5s have lists too, but they spend all their time in their head. They're like, okay, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do that. I ain't gonna do all this because that's gonna have. Add people on your list. Add a phone call here and there. It doesn't have to be someone sucking up all your energy, but add those phone calls. Those phone calls are a game changer. So that's what health looks like for a 5 too, is to not be in isolation and add entertainment as far as learning to your workout, and to be in a place where you can share with people. All right, you got anything to say about the 5?
I don't think it's that. I don't think fitness is that hard for a 5, and I don't think even health is that hard for a 5, because y'all are so regimented, and so you do. What is the word that you used? You
routines.
Do routines.
Yes.
You have routines. I already know what shoulder day is. I know what back day is. You don't even have to tell me. Me, I like to mix my stuff up because if I get bored, I'm going to fall into unhealthy 9 because my brain's going to talk me out of doing it. Nothing's going to talk you out. That's why you could take an hour to get to the gym. You don't care. You're not going to change your mind. It's your routine.
Yeah.
So I think for 5s, but on the stubborn side of a 5 and what could really come back to bite a 5 is because once they have their mind made up, they do believe that they have all the facts. So I remember when we first got married, I was like, oh, I don't really think you should be eating that. And the thing is, for certain body types, you can eat what you want and get away with it. So aesthetically, it won't show. And so I remember you would eat like processed food or whatever. And I'm like, you shouldn't be eating that. But since you're a 5, you had your routine. You ate that same one meal. And I don't remember what it was, but I know I had frozen food involved. And you would always make that same meal. And I'm like,
fish sticks and tater tots?
I'm like, I don't think. And because you look phenomenal, like your physique, that's why people
I
always.
wasn't looking like this back in the days.
I mean, I helped. But when you're so much in your routine, it's kind of hard to break a 5 out of their routine to try something new because they believe, well, this is what's working for me.
Right.
But at the end of the day, if it's working for you, then it's working for you. If you don't need, novelty, then hey, great.
Yeah. Well, one of the things about the 5's routines, why they keep a routine, is because if they don't, those are the times where they allow their sad feelings, like those feelings where you where you as a 3 get talked out of it. If I don't do my routine, then that's when I go negative for myself. The routine is our safety.
Yeah.
So a 5, yes, we encourage the routine. Find yourself a safety net, and the routine is my safety. If I don't I got my tea. So all this stuff is part of my routine. If I don't get my tea, and it has to be green tea, all is exactly how I like it. And if I don't have like a bowel movement before I go work out.
That is TMI, but okay.
Yes, but all this has to be a part of my routine.
But what's so funny is we're married and you have these routines and a lot of them don't work for my personality type.
I know,
and I'm like, I gotta get out of here. I'm gonna implode. We have about 18 more seconds until this goes bad.
Yeah.
Right? And so that's the funny thing about different personality types. When people get married and they don't know the other person's personality type, you went on dates and you had fun together. But when you do real life together, I mean, since you brought up bowel movement, it just reminded me because you'll go to the bathroom and you'll be in there. I'm like, bro, I was ready 30 minutes ago. I could have meal prepped. I could, and it's funny because I need to check these things off my list to thrive. You need to follow your routine to thrive.
Yeah.
So that's what makes knowing yourself and knowing your partner, whether it's your partner, your kids, friends, whoever it is in your life, that's what makes it so important. Because I can't get mad at you for going to the bathroom or doing your tea because that's your routine. That's not fair. And just like me, like you told me this morning, I'm trying to show you something, but you're in such a rush to get out of here. And I'm thinking, because I'm about to change my mind. And then it's going to be a downward spiral. But we give each other grace now. We give each other grace because we understand each other. And you can't get mad at the way somebody's wired. It's who they are. And that's when you offer compassion. You offer space for them to grow and do what they need to do. So I thought, I know what we can do because our son borrowed your car for work. And so I forgot you have a motorcycle. And so I'm like, I know, I'll walk. So I already had on 3 jackets. And since I need to leave right now, the clock is ticking and I'm going to explode. I'll meet you there. You take my car. And then we ended up working it out because you took the motorcycle. But I say that to say that's the way you navigate.
Yes.
That's the way you stay. And I love using the term winning. That's the way. So we didn't get to work out together, but that's okay because you came over to me. I gave you a kiss and I did my thing. You did yours and everything was fine. But if you don't have that compassion, if you don't have that grace, if you don't have that understanding, you're going to struggle.
And so...
I tile.
Yes. So we're going to shift gears and save 6 through 9 for next week.
And that's going to be good because the 6 is the loyalist, 7 is the enthusiast, which you're going to think they're the ones that exercise the most, but that's not the truth. The 8, the challenger, and the 9, the peacemaker. So let's do those next week.
Yes, so next week it is. And as far as wrapping it up, a little application for the people before we wrap it up.
I told you have to prepare me for questions.
Oh, you are good at being spontaneous.
So I would say a word of encouragement would be to learn yourself, learn what motivates you, learn what gives you momentum, and then build upon that. But before you can do that, you got to go to the shadow side. And the shadow side is going to tell you where you struggle. Where are your challenges? What triggers you to want to shut down and not do anything? What is it that makes you fall into that dark space? And then transcend it by learning the opposite tendencies from that darkness and then implementing those so you can power them with your strengths. So when you transcend the tough spots and you add that to what your natural gifts and abilities are, you can stay winning. There'll be times where you'll fail, but those failings are still winning because you're going to learn, oh, that's the -9. Oh, that's what it feels like. Now I remember. Okay, I'll do this. So it's all about learning yourself, the whole gamut, and not ignoring the challenges, the weaknesses, the shadows, because they don't feel good. Right. It's about learning them, transcending them, and staying on top.
There we go. Well, that's it for our day drinkers. And it was, the shoot.
No, water doesn't count.
Well, you don't know what's up in this flask. All right, you guys. See you next week.